afternoon or good evening, whatever the case may be for you. Welcome back to Referral Mastery. This is our 7th session. Today we're going to be talking about items of value. But let's just do a little recap, as I always like to do at the beginning of each session. Your steps towards mastery from the last session were to get yourself a whole bunch of personal note cards, postage stamps if necessary for you, and then actually write 5 handwritten notes every day, 5 days a week for the last 2 weeks. So hopefully you actually took me up on my challenge and you've written 50 personal notes. And I'm assuming that you maybe started to get a little bit of feedback from those notes as well, which is fantastic. And I hope you enjoyed that exercise. Our apple tree, if we want to reorientate ourselves here, we are trying to produce ripe apples, repeat and referral business. We're going to get repeats and referrals from people. That's our apple tree, the database. And I took you through 4 steps to organize your database. So build, make a big list, sort. You sort it down to your 100 to 300 advocates. Everybody else is a B. Capture it onto your contact management system. And then the big job was to phone through all 300 of your advocates and prime them using the database primer dialogue. And that was the first of the 6 dialogues under the dialogues heading. And then I taught you another dialogue similar to the database primer called the database filter, which is your secret weapon when you go out into public every day and you're meeting new people. There's this question you can ask them in order to lead the conversation to getting permission to keep in touch. And that question simply was, if you were buying or selling your home or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? That was the database filter dialogue. We then shifted our attention to looking at the sunshine. What's going to make this database healthy? Well, sunshine and rainfall. The sunshine corresponds to written communication, and we looked at handwritten notes last time. And today we're going to keep going along the written communication track, and I'm going to teach you all about items of value. Items of value. I think before we continue, let me define what an item of value is. It is, broadly speaking, any item that you give or deliver to your advocates that they will find to be valuable. Okay, so it's quite a broad definition. Now, how we're going to implement the distribution of items of value is a little bit narrower than that. On Mother's Day, for example, you might deliver flowers to all of your moms on your advocate list. Now, that's quite difficult to do. It's a little bit expensive. It's logistically difficult. And that is an item of value. But in terms of what we're going to be sending out on a monthly basis, we're going to choose to send items that are information based. In other words, you can email them and you can mail them in the mail, hard old school mail, but in an envelope. You can fold it up, put it in an envelope, stick a stamp on it, and mail it out. The foundational technique to create a consistent flow of referrals is to faithfully send an item of value to your advocates every month. Every month. Items of value form the hub of your Trusted Advisor program. They create a wonderful talking point off which everything else can operate. They are the very heart of your referral system. Now, that's an important point because I'm going to teach you lots of techniques and lots of touch types in this course, but it's the monthly item of value that creates the reason for all of the other touch types. It gives you an excuse. For example, as you're going to see later, I'm going to recommend that after you send out your item of value every month, you follow it up with a phone call. And then when you're on the phone call, you don't want it to be awkward. You're going to have, as you'll see, 150 phone calls to make in the next 30 days if you've got 300 advocates, because you want to call through your advocates every 2 months. 150 phone calls. You don't want to be sweating every time you pick up the phone. What am I going to talk about? I struggle to do this. You just want it to be easy. And so let's say your item of value this month was on the dangers of overpricing. That's one of those that I'll show you later. And so when you make your phone calls, it'll be whatever chit chat is natural. And then as soon as there's any kind of pregnant pause in the discussion, it's anyway, the reason for my call, John, just wanted to see you got that little item I sent you this month on the dangers of overpricing. You know, we found that over the last 3 months, the average selling price in our area is 15% below asking price, and the sellers are unrealistic, and the dangers of it is they end up actually selling below market value. So we thought that was an important piece of information for our business. Okay, there you've got a little story to tell, you got a few statistics to quote, and it relates to the item that they get given, and that's the end of the phone call. So great chatting to you, and whatever chit chat at the end of the call, and then, oh, by the way, and I'm going to teach you the oh, by the way dialogue later in this course. You're actually going to ask for a referral then on the phone calls. The point, to come back to the point that I was making, is that the items of value give you the excuse. They're like the hub of the wheel, and everything else works off of it. Here's another example. After the phone call, what is the first thing you think I'm going to tell you to do? And I hope you said a handwritten note. Yes. After the phone call, you're then going to send a handwritten note. None of that could have happened unless you'd sent the item of value, is the point I've made. Okay, so how do we draft out items of value? There's really two questions I want to answer for you in this session today. Is what information do we put in the item of value? How do we actually draft them? And then second question is, once we've got the text of the item, we've got the information, how do we design them? Because they have to look appealing, because you're going to print them out, stick them in envelopes with a covering letter always, and then you're going to mail it to your advocates. You will also send it via email to the whole email list, which is, yes, your advocates and also your B list. And just make a mental note. If you want to insert the item of value, we're going to create it as a PDF, and I'm going to show you how to do that. When you export the image from Keynote or PowerPoint, which is what we're going to use to create the PDF, you also want to export it as an image. So you're going to export one as a PDF and one as an image, like a JPEG as an example, or a PNG. That is much easier to insert into a bulk email. Okay. That's if you're actually attaching it. You may want to link it to a page on your website where you've got the item of value loaded on your website as well. You can do that. And in the emails, you might want to just have an image, short image, or even a one line of text with a read more here. And if they click that, it takes them to the item of value on your website. But for your advocates, you do want them to get the email, but you also want them to get a hard copy version mailed to them in the old school snail mail. Right, these are all points I'm going to repeat later, but I'm glad your thinking is heading in the right direction on this. Right, in a minute, we're going to have a look at a parable. The point of the parable is to draw out what is it that needs to make up the content of our item of value. How do we draft these things? And this little story is going to bring out the answer to that question. So a man's disabled son wins the lottery. He and his wife are completely uneducated about administering money, but they want to make sure that wise decisions are made because the money will be able to ensure the boy's health and care for the rest of his life, which could quite easily be another 50 to 60 years. They begin to look for a person who can administer the finances and come alongside the family to guide and counsel them through the years ahead. Ideally, what are all the attributes that the man and his wife would want in the person to whom they will entrust this responsibility? And maybe you want to pause the video and just jot down a few words. What is this couple looking for in the person that they're going to entrust the family fortune to administer for their son? Perhaps even after they, husband and wife, mom and dad, have passed away, that there's someone who's still going to be looking after the son. So what are they looking for? And maybe you've come up with answers like, well, the person's got to be honest. Absolutely got to be honest. They're going to run off with the money. They've got to be caring. There's got to be a sense of empathy for this boy's predicament and for the struggles that he has in life. There's got to be a sense of caring and empathy. Experience, that you want this person to be experienced. You want them to be an expert in their field of financial management and tax, for example, and educated. You want them to be accessible. So you don't want them making all sorts of promises and then you can never get hold of them afterwards. They're easily accessible. They're always available. Faithful or dependable. They don't make promises and then not keep them. Accountable. Committed to the work. This is over a long period of time. This is not somebody who's excited about a new deal now, but in a year's time they would have kind of lost its shine. They've got to be committed for the long haul. Okay, these are all attributes. Now, if you take those attributes, you can very neatly divide them under two headings. Now, just stay with me, okay? I'm trying to teach you how we're going to draft our items of value. On the one side, the heading that we can use for half of those traits is character. This couple are going to be looking for someone they can trust. This is someone who is honest, they've got integrity, they're in it for the long haul, they care for the family. They are the kind of person that this family will feel safe with from a character and honesty perspective. That's important, obviously. But you, my friend, watching this video may be the most wonderful human being on the planet, and I'm sure you are. But if I need to have my tonsils out, I'm probably not going to come to you. You know, you may be so trustworthy that if I had a box of golden treasure from a pirate that I'd found and I needed to leave it with someone for the night, you'd be the person I'd choose. I probably still wouldn't come to you to have my tonsils out. Why not? Because you're probably not a surgeon and you might give it your honest best shot, but I'm probably going to die because you don't have the skill. Now that's on the other side of what this couple are going to be looking for in this financial planner, is someone who is competent. Let's use the word competence as a catch-all for all of those other things. And if you think about it, these are the two things you need to communicate to your advocates if you want them to be happy to refer their family and friends to you. They've got to know that you can be trusted with their family and friends, and they've got to know that you are highly skilled at what you do, that you will be able to meet the needs that their friends and family have. Okay, character and competence. I hope you see now we're getting closer to what we need to put in our items of value, because what we're going to do is we're going to use the monthly item of value to communicate your character or your competence. So half your items of value are going to communicate character, and that is done by sending items of value that are personal in nature. So character is communicated by personal items of value. I am going to show you examples in a second. Competence, on the other hand, that'll be your other half of your items of value, is communicated by items of value, the content of which is professional in nature. So let's have a look at a few examples. Now, back in the day when I was still running Providence, having worked with Brian Buffini in the States, and I believe Brian's company still does this. So if you're looking for ready to go items of value every month, a new item of value, and I believe a stack of personal note cards with envelopes, you can get onto Buffini and Company's website and enroll on their program. They will send you a little box every month with your monthly item of value and your personal note cards. It's really convenient. But I am going to show you today how to do these things yourself. So when we were doing this back in the day, providing our clients with items of value, these are just some of the examples. So professional items of value, the first one there is get your plans passed easily. There was an item about if you're going to be doing renovations or building, how do you get your municipal plans passed? The next one, stop that drip. So here are some step-by-step instructions or guidelines to solving two of the most common plumbing problems in your house, and you can do it yourself. Not only do these things have to be property related, but you're going to see with the next one, they can be related to money. So if your item of value speaks to the fact that you understand money and wealth creation and preservation, that's also professional. It's building up their esteem of you as a professional real estate agent. So this one is 21 signs that you know how to handle money. Then something about how your garden can help sell your home. Obviously that's extremely professional in nature. As an agent, you're advising people how to sell their home and what to do with their home in order to make it more sellable. Then the next one, I love this one. This was a kind of play on the Monopoly board. This was about CMA. So why should homeowners get a regular valuation of their property? There's several good reasons for that. Then 7 cures for a lean purse. This was an excerpt from George Clason's famous book, The Richest Man in Babylon. If you've never read The Richest Man in Babylon, can I please give you some advice? Jump onto Google. You can get a Kindle version or get the hard copy version. If you get a hard copy version, just buy 10 of them because you're going to want to give them to your kids and extended family and friends, and in fact clients. It's a wonderful little pop-by gift for clients. We'll get into pop-bys later in the course. Wonderful little gift. It is a phenomenal book. It's a little collage or compendium of parables set in ancient Babylon, for example. And this particular chapter was 7 cures for a lean purse. Does your purse seem too lean at the moment? Well, there are some cures, and there were 7 of them according to George Clason, so we put them in an item of value. The last one I'll show you is that one I mentioned earlier, the dangers of overpricing. This was a double-sided item of value, which also can work really well. And this was the sad tale of an overpriced turkey, and how the home actually sells for below market value if you initially price it over market value. Then let's have a look at a few personal items of value. This was one on first aid. So first aid tips. This is the kind of thing that people will put on their fridge at home, and it will have long staying power. The next one, also a reference guide, was the annual planting guide. We took a bunch of the most common flowers in South Africa, and we just did a little calendar of which month you should plant those flowers. Then spot remover. This one was actually so popular, like how to remove candle wax or ink or whatever it is that you've spilt on your couch or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of like granny solutions, you know, old wives kind of solutions, which you wouldn't think about, and it was quite fun. The last one I'll show you is health-based. So this was what are the major vitamin groups, and what do each vitamin group do for you? So if you're struggling with a certain thing, energy, what vitamin should you be supplementing with, etc. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea of what the kind of content of items of value are. And again, you want to mix it up. You want to have roughly half your items professional in nature, communicating professional competence, and then half of them being personal in nature, just illustrating, you know what, I'm a good person, I've got family values, I care for you, I care for your family. For maximum effect, you need to both email and post or mail your item of value every month. Now, I did make that point earlier, but just make sure you understand the email, which will either just be a PNG or a JPEG image of the item of value that you actually insert into the bulk email and send it out, or it'll be a link that people click and it takes them to the item of value that you uploaded onto a page on your website, almost like a blog page or an articles page. That email that you send goes to everybody. It goes to your advocates and to your whole B list every month. But then in addition to that, you're going to print out 100, 200, 300 copies, however many advocates you've got. You're going to put a covering letter with the item of value. You're going to fold them up, put them in envelopes. The envelopes, you probably would have printed labels automatically from some software on your computer, and then you're going to mail those out to your database hard copy. Now, I would strongly suggest you do not do that job yourself. If you've got a personal assistant, this is the prime example of the kind of task that you delegate to an assistant. Make sure that they do it properly, and so supervise it quite strictly in the beginning for the first few months, but once they've got it, they've got it. If you don't have a PA, then pay a child. If you've got a teenage child, this is low skill work. The question I want to answer next is, how do you actually draft the items of value? How do you come up with the ideas, and then how do you actually write the ideas? Well, this is where the invention of ChatGPT has been an absolute game changer for us. So what I am going to do, you can thank me later when you see me in person at EXPCon or some such event. I am now going to give you a ChatGPT guide which gives you the prompts for an entire social media calendar and email newsletter calendar that's going to give you 100 topics. And out of the 100, we're going to, so which that you can use for Facebook and Instagram and videos, etc. Out of the 100, we're going to choose 12 of them to be your newsletter or your item of value for the next 12 months. Now, this ChatGPT guide that I'm going to give you is going to take you through a process where you do all of that. It does all of it for you. it comes up with the ideas, and then it writes the articles, and it suggests images that you're going to put in the articles. Now, I don't want to bore you on the video to actually read the thing, but what I would like to do is just read the opening prompt and then point you in the right direction with how the thing actually works. Let me warn you in advance, this is going to be some work. This will probably take you 2 or 3 hours. Why? Because as you're going to see, we're going to ask ChatGPT to ask us 25 questions so that ChatGPT can get the information and understanding of you and your area and your particular strengths, so that based on your area, your target market, your strengths, it can intelligently draft your content calendar and your email newsletters. It's worth doing. You only ever have to do this once. ChatGPT, if you use the same chat on ChatGPT, if you keep just scrolling down and putting your prompts at the bottom, it will remember everything that's gone before. You will never have to do this again. You've only got to do this once. It's worth doing. So just prepare yourself. It's going to take a little bit of time. So here's prompt number 1. I am a real estate agent with eXp Realty or whatever company you're with in, and then state your geographic area as specifically as you can. And I need help crafting the perfect unique value proposition, or UVP, in order to attract home buyers and sellers to use my services. I have been an agent for X amount of time, and in that time I have achieved. What kind of results have you achieved? The reasons for this are, then list what best describes the reason for the results that you have achieved. So I don't want to state the obvious, but everything in italics here, you are writing in and personalizing for yourself. My greatest achievements to date have been, so list any awards you've received or achievements or anything that you think is worth noting there. With my strongest assets being, now there you list what you think your natural gifts are and your professional gifts and the experience that you bring to the table. List it all as exhaustively as you can. And by the way, I don't care if this is your first day in real estate, you've got gifts and talents that God has given you, and you can bring them to the service of your clients. My goal is to attract as many. Now you need to list what your perfect avatar, your perfect client, list what that client looks like, as many of those kinds of people as I can using my UVP. I need my UVP to be clear and compelling. It should quickly inform buyers, sellers, and influencers why they should use me as their real estate agent. I want you to focus on the unique benefits I offer and help me determine how I can set myself apart from others in my marketplace. I want you to have a deep understanding of my business, target audience, success, and what sets me apart from competitors. This UVP should resonate with my target audience and highlight my unique strengths and benefits. In order to help craft this, please ask me the 25 most important questions you need to know in order to craft the perfect UVP to the best of your ability. Your detailed understanding is crucial for optimal results. ChatGPT will then spit out 25 questions which you now need to go and answer. What I suggest you do is copy the questions, paste them into a Word document, answer them in the Word document. Once you've answered all the questions, and that's what takes all the time, but put effort into it, then copy them from your Word document back into ChatGPT and hit enter. And that's prompt number 2. You're going to say, here are the answers to your questions, and then you're going to paste your answers in. ChatGPT will then spit out your UVP, and it might give you some other thoughts and ideas, whatever it gives you. The next prompt, you're going to copy and paste into, you just copy and paste it into ChatGPT from this document. Basically, I'm not going to read it, but what this one does is it asks ChatGPT to come up with 100 content ideas based on the information you've given it. Then, once it gives you the 100 content ideas, it's going to give you to in a tabular format, which you're going to ask for. You'll see that. Then, prompt number 4, copy and paste just paste the next one in. What the next one does is it's going to ask ChatGPT to give you 12 newsletter ideas. From the 100 pieces of content, 12 newsletters together with the subject line, and it's going to tell ChatGPT how to write the subject line, and it's going to give you a little description of what the article will be about. That's prompt number 4. And then the last one is the prompts for each individual newsletter. So for each of the 12 newsletters, you're going to separately copy the last prompt there on the document into ChatGPT, and you'll see at the bottom it said, please do this for email number 1. And then you're going to do it again. Please do that for email number 2. And it'll actually write the articles for you. You're also going to ask it to suggest certain images. Now, that leads us to the next discussion, which is once you have drafted the items of value, you've actually got the text written, you've got it planned out for the next 12 months, how do you design them so that, like the items of value you saw of ours, they're on a beautiful image in the background, they look nice, so that you can print them out high gloss and send them? Well, I'm going to play you a little video on my computer now that is going to show you how you can do your own graphic design. So in your workbook it says, if you can't use Canva or EXP's Global Marketing Center, learn to use PowerPoint or the Mac version of PowerPoint, which is called Keynote, to quickly design your items of value. This has been one of the most valuable skills I learned, and I learned it just, through the School of Hard Knocks, in the saddle. Somehow I came across this, that you can do unbelievable graphic design using PowerPoint or Keynote, and then once you've designed your thing, you just export it as a PDF or you export it as an image. Now you're going to do both of those, one for the newsletter and one for your actual item of value that you're going to print out. So, how do you use Keynote or PowerPoint to do your own graphic design? That's what this video is going to teach you. I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a beautiful value item that can be printed. Take it down to the local printer, but you're going to do the design yourself, and you can do this using PowerPoint, or as I've got on my screen here, Keynote, which is Apple's version of PowerPoint. First thing you want to do is change the dimensions of the slide to an A4 page. A4, so on Keynote you do that by clicking the Documents tab and then Size, click the drop down and then Custom Slide Size. We're going to go with 210, I'm going to add a note to it, by 297, add a note to it, because an A4 page, the dimensions are 210 by 297. Okay, great, there we go, there's our A4 page. Now I'm going to put a text box in there, but first I'm going to go to ChatGPT. So what I did was I asked ChatGPT to write me an article with 175 words with nicely laid out headings about 6 essential tips to sell your home. So this is just by way of illustration. So what I'm going to do is I am going to highlight the article, and I am going to click Command C, which is Control C on a PC. To copy the text, we are going to put a text box in here and simply paste our article in. We are now going to change the font size to, that looks good. Right, our heading is going to say, what's ChatGPT's thing? Preparing your home to sell 6 essential tips. Alright, we're going to paste this into a little text box here, and we're going to put it at the top. Let's use Roboto, which is EXP's font for everything. Okay, so our article is taking shape. Now what we need is we need an image behind this. So what we're going to do is you can go to any number of websites online where you can get free images, royalty free images. Pixabay is one of them, and we are going to search for an image. Let's just try this, moving home. See if they've got any images for me. Oh, they do. Okay, great. We are preferably going to look for an A4 image, so that we could use. That would definitely work. That could work. Any kind of homey image You don't have to have someone with boxes, etc. Okay, let's use this one just for fun. You click on it, you click download. I want as big a copy as I want, so I want the 4,000 by 6,000, and I'm going to click download. Okay, excellent. I'm not going to donate at this time. Now what we do is we drag this image into our PowerPoint slide. And we are going to just resize it so that it covers the full expanse of the slide. Right-click, send to back, and boom, there's our article. Now we obviously need to change the font to white, and what might make it a little bit easier to see also is a shadow. Alright, so I've just put a little shadow into the text, and there you have it. Now what you do is you may want to put your branding, your logo, and a little, maybe your contact details at the bottom of it. That would be fine. Then you're going to go File. This is on Keynote. It'll be something very similar in PowerPoint. File, Export, PDF. Save. It's going to export that as a PDF. So what I'll do now for you is I will go to that particular folder, and I am going to just open up the PDF. There's the PDF. You take it down to your copy shop, you print 100 to 300 of them. How many advocates you got? You put them in envelopes and you post them. That's how easy graphic design is to do on your own at home without the cost of a graphic designer. Well, this video has been a little bit nitty-gritty and how-to, but hopefully these are skills you're going to be able to use. We're going to finish off with a few thoughts. Remember, the TAP system, Trusted Advisor Program system, works. Why? Because you're combining different touch types. So, the following formula must be followed after each month's item of value is sent. Make a follow-up phone call, and then send them a handwritten note. Now, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that as I give you the specifics later in the course. You're actually going to phone through all your advocates every 2 months. But I want that in your head as the general routine of the referral system. You send out an item of value every month, and then off of that, you follow up with personal contact. On the personal contact, you're going to ask for a referral using our "Oh, by the way" dialogue. I'm going to teach you that later. And then when you've put the phone down, or if it was a face-to-face visit, because you're going to do some pop-bys as well, at the end of that, you're going to write a handwritten note. So it's always item of value, some kind of personal contact, and then a personal handwritten note. And I hope that that kind of sticks in your head as a model. So, steps towards mastery for the next 2 weeks. And I would encourage you, just lay everything else aside and do the hard work required to create your content calendar for the next 12 months. That's what we're going to do in the next 2 weeks. Using the ChatGPT prompts guide, plan and draft your monthly items of value for the next 12 months. The other nice thing about that ChatGPT prompts guide is that it's not just the 12 newsletters that you're going to plan for the next 12 months. You're going to have 80 or 90 other content ideas that you can use for short form video, Reels or Instagram or Facebook posts or however you want to roll. There'll be a whole bunch of ideas that come out of that. Then the second step I'd like you to take is, if you're up to it, design and produce the actual items of value using PowerPoint or Keynote. And do all 12 for the next month in the next 2 weeks. Do it now. I promise you, in the months ahead, you will be so grateful that you did it because you've got your item of value set up and it's just ready to go every month. All right, well, God bless you. In our next session, we're going to look at the actual launch letters. When you send your first batch of items of value, they go with, it always goes with a covering letter, but in this case, it's going to go with a special covering letter because it's the first one you're sending. And there's going to be one of two options, the guilt pledge letter or the introduction letter. I'm going to teach you those next time, and we're actually going to launch your program next time, which is exciting. So I look forward to being with you then, and enjoy the next 2 weeks.